Sixers fans, welcome back. An absolute collapse of a game last night that started at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, as is a 45-minute hoop delay because I couldn't even tell you. I don't know. But I ended up staying up until 3:14 a.m. with Run It Back Philly and Romp to talk about the Sixers game. It was a great time. Go check it out on Run It Back's channel if you haven't watched it already. I'm sure you have. A lot of dudes in the chat. That was dope. Always appreciate talking ball with people who know basketball. That being said, let's break down the Philadelphia 76ers in this moment of time. The date is February 5th, I believe. A lot of James Harden stuff is out and about in the news right now. I don't really want to talk about the Mavericks game, but I will a little bit. I just want to say real quick, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Do it for J. Cole. Don't even do it for me. Do it for J. Cole. The Sixers lost because in the third quarter, Doc Rivers had one of the worst coaching quarters of his entire Sixers career, which says a lot because he was an absolute negative against the Atlanta Hawks last playoff. We can't break a zone. It's genuinely infuriating. Every single time we get the ball, we pass around the perimeter. Everyone just pump fake, and then passes it right back. Nobody flashes to the free throw line to break a zone. There is no inside-out game. We don't have anybody that can dribble past it either, and our three-point shooting was atrocious. The Mavericks shot 29% from three, and they still beat us. Luka put on a world performance last night. He's a stud. Doc Rivers decided to take Matisse Thybulle out, even though Matisse was the only dude that could even contain Luka, and we put in Danny Green, who was 0 for 5 from 3 at that point and is an absolute atrocious basketball player. Like, literally, arguably, sometimes the worst guy on the team, and we have Furkan Korkmaz. So that says a lot. Danny Green was picking him up at, like, full court for, like, a good quarter, and it didn't work. I don't understand that. And I also don't understand that we literally cannot play offense. Tobias Harris had a terrible game. He had 13 points, he had 3 rebounds, and he only had 8 field goal attempts, and he went to the free throw line 1 time. If that's not embarrassing for a 6'8", 6'9" power forward, I don't know how it gets worse. Yeah, his contract is so genuinely immovable that it's going to kill Philadelphia for this year, next year, and the year after, and probably the year after. So that's a problem. Even more than the Ben Simmons issue, that's a big-time problem. But let's talk about James Harden right now. Yesterday, news comes out that basically is Harden's going to be a Sixer. That's kind of what it comes down to. Everyone's trolling Brooklyn. Brooklyn's pissed off. It's just, if you need a good laugh, go just Google or Twitter Brooklyn Nets fans. They're all just completely destroying James Harden. And it's pretty funny because I'm like, dude, Kyrie Irving has played like 11 games this year, and you're going to have the audacity to blame another person? I don't really get that. I've made a video last week about the fit between Harden and Embiid and how I don't think it's the greatest, and I'm not going to reiterate what I've already said. If you want to go check that out, check the video. It's a good video. I made it like 11 days ago, and it still holds true. It is aged well over the past week and a half. But to reiterate it a little bit, I'm going to completely contradict myself and say that, the pick and roll is James Harden's bread and butter, and Embiid is not a pick and roll player. He does not roll. He doesn't. He only rolls on 21% of his pick and rolls. He's always popping, and then it becomes part of the offense where Embiid, gets that free throw line face up one-on-one, and then he either takes it or it's like a dribble handoff type deal with Seth Curry or Tyrese Maxey. That's a part of the offense. That's how we run pick and rolls with Embiid. Embiid is not a roller. He's not a runner. He's not a Clint Capella. He's not a Dwight Howard, like guys that Harden has seemed to be good with. So that's a difficult fit. Plus Harden is, James Harden, not really a defender, not really the most active defensive player, and that isn't great for a team that needs to find their identity. He's not a proven playoff player, but all of this being said, I think it's a deal that has to be made. He is too good of a player to pass up. And if we can trade for James Harden without trading Tyrese Maxey, I think it is an absolute done deal. If you can guarantee a re-sign, I think I would throw in Matisse Thybulle for that. I know a lot of you guys probably wouldn't like that, and defensively we would get hit really hard because of that, but at the same time, like, he is a top 15 player in the NBA, and I know his contract's not going to age well. He is not going to age well. He already has shown signs of decline. He doesn't really play a lot of games to begin with. He struggles with health even more so than Embiid. I know the downsides to it, but he is too good of a player to not trade for it without trading your center franchise player of Embiid or trading your up-and-coming franchise co-star in Tyrese Maxey. To be able to keep both of them, it's a 100%. You have to go for it. It's worth the risk. 100%, it's worth the risk. You have to take risks in order to win championships in the NBA. In anything in life, you need to be able to take a risk. And I am on board for the Philadelphia 76ers taking a risk, as long as it doesn't include Tyrese Maxey. I'm a little iffy on the whole Matisse. I understand. Defensively, the Sixers would be very bad. We would have a very hard time in the playoffs to contain perimeter players on the other team. But at the same time, we have a much better chance of outscoring somebody. Matisse had a great game defensively last night, but he didn't bring enough offensively for me to ever be like, I would not trade him for Harden. Harden is still an elite superstar player, so you have to make that move. You really do. No one's untouchable except Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid. And if we can stay hold of that, that's big. I would also rather trade for Harden at this deadline than wait for the offseason, for just the reason that you have no idea what can come in the future. If you can get something done now, you do it now. I think the Sixers have a good chance of contending if they can get Harden this year. Better so if they would wait until the offseason. But Romp made a great point last night on the live stream where he said, if you're 100% certain you can get James Harden, why don't you try your hardest to dump Tobias Harris's contract for something that would be expiring deals, and then trade Ben Simmons for a couple of valuable role players or valuable up-and-coming dudes, because you can go out and have the cap flexibility to go out and sign Harden this offseason and bring in even more depth. I like that idea a lot, but my only rebuttal to that is that you don't know what's going to happen in the summer. Anything can happen, and I think I'm feeling safer if you can go out and get a move done right now. James Harden's obviously pissed in Brooklyn, and my thing with him a lot of the times is that he's a very tough player to play with, I believe. And I think he's just a very flip-floppy personality to begin with. I mean, he wanted to go play for a winner. He wanted to come to Brooklyn because he was tired of being the only guy in Houston. But now, the first sign of adversity in Brooklyn, he wants out. I will admit this, that I do not like James Harden. I don't like him as a person. I don't like him as a basketball player. He is an exhausting player to watch. It's a very isolated, heavy one-on-one offense, and I've never found interest in watching that type of basketball. I don't like him as a person. I don't really think he's a winner. He is a very unproven guy, and he's already 33 years old, so his best days are behind him. But again, you have to make that move. Another reason I think you have to make that move is because Doc Rivers is terrible. He is an absolutely atrocious coach who year after year proves to you in the playoffs, in the regular season, that he is not a good coach. His rotations are terrible. He doesn't understand momentum. He doesn't understand that you can play guys who are hot and let them ride their hot hand. He has no sense of the game. His awareness is honestly atrocious. It is so similar to Brett Brown, and everything I hated about Brett Brown, it's the same thing with Doc Rivers. And then Doc Rivers has no sense of accountability. He doesn't know how to take blame for things. He is not a grown-up. He is a 60-year-old man-child who reminds me a lot of Ben Simmons and is very frustrating. But if you can bring in another superstar, it can combat the effect of having a bad coach. By adding superstars to a team, you can win more with a worse coach. That's just how it is in the NBA. In the NBA landscape, teams do not just let people walk for nothing, and you can't, because if you look at the past couple of years, the Boston Celtics have been put into the situation that they are right now in constant mediocrity because they let Kyrie Irving just walk. They let Gordon Hayward just walk. You cannot do that if you want to win. And I think the Brooklyn Nets know that. It gives them zero leverage right now. They have absolutely nothing to have leverage over. James Harden, if he says, I want to go to Philly, he will go to Philly no matter what Brooklyn wants to do. But if anything, that makes Philadelphia in a better position because we can trade less for something more valuable. And if I just want to say this right now, I have always been a humongous fan of Daryl Morey. I've always trusted in him. He is the process. I trust in Daryl Morey no matter what. Even if I am angry at the moment, I have never lost faith in that man. I will say, if Daryl Morey can go out and trade Ben Simmons and say Danny Green and a pick or two for James Harden, while keeping Tyrese Maxey, while keeping Matisse Thybulle, while keeping Embiid, while keeping everything that we have valuable, every single person who has ever said anything bad about that man should equally be as loud praising him. And I will name every single kid of mine for the rest of my life Morey Melly. That's how it is. Peace.